Welcome back to Comanche Productions. Today we're going to be doing something old but new. Old in the sense, what you looking at me like that for? It's fine. Old in the sense it's a podcast, but it's a new podcast series.
What's the name of it?
It's called Feathers and Fall, which is it's a podcast based around duck hunting and deer hunting. We obviously have our Speaking Spring podcast series, which is around spring turkey hunting and the events leading up to that season, and so this is kind of our podcast for deer season as well as duck season. We probably won't get into as much duck hunting today. Um, it's a little early for that. It's July. Now it's on our minds. We can't say that, but deer hunting's kind of more heavily on our minds, I'd say. So, um, we're just gonna kind of talk about stories from past deer seasons and tactics and um, any tall ask, as Evan has pointed out that I said in a previous video. Anyways, we're gonna talk about some deer hunting stuff, and I might kind of dive into our bow setups a little bit, and we might even get a little debate going because Evan's with me today. I probably should have introduced him about 10 minutes ago. This has already been rolling long enough, and I hadn't said it, but yeah, Evan's with me today. Will's not. Will was busy tonight, so we got Evan with us. We might, like I said, we might get into a little bit of a debate when it comes to hunting and fishing and everything. We tend to disagree on every brand or anything we do. We just pretty much disagree on. Like he shoots a 270 and I shoot a 308. So, but anyways, like I said, should be pretty fun. We should get a couple of these out before deer season, and then we're gonna try to do a couple before duck season. Like I said, we got plenty of time for duck season. We may dive into it a little bit, but anyways, just kind of want to introduce y'all to Feathers and Fall podcast series, which is, like I said, what we're naming this particular series. So, anyways, you got anything you want to say there?
I'm in the clear.
He's in the clear.
I'm in the clear.
You want to tell anything about your stitches?
They don't feel good.
Well, tell them how you got them before we jump into it.
Went to the hospital and they put them on for me.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. You want to elaborate on how you cut your finger to get the stitches?
Let's see. Where I work at, we do lawn care, and so we got this thing called hedge trimmers.
Sure, it's not called a hedger.
Hedge trimmer.
Hedge trimmer. Yeah.
Either way, same thing. And I was getting at this bush, man. I was getting it good and round, getting good and square.
Can I butt in right here? Can I butt in? Can I butt in?
No.
I'm
in the middle.
Well, if you're trying to make them
story.
round, how you make them square?
Round, and then the next bush.
Oh, you do squared and round.
Well, some of them are square, some are round. Either way, I was on a round one.
He's on a round one. Okay.
I was on a round one.
Had to clear that up.
On a ladder. Let's start about a 10-foot ladder. Went about halfway up. And I was at the top of this bush, and I step back every time I get in a cut a little bit to see how it looks. I went to set the hedge trimmer down to step back and look at it. Set it up against the ladder and it went to fall. I done behind instead of just letting it fall. I went to grab it, and the old hedge trimmer it grabbed me back, and I got stitches now.
Well,
Well,
I did have a takeaway from that story. You were talking about the 10-foot ladder. It's kind of a perfect segue into how difficult it is being a bow hunter scared of heights.
you are scared of those?
I am deathly afraid of heights, and I get about 15 foot or higher, and it feels like I'm floating through space with no oxygen. Is kind of the only analogy I can give. It's a terrifying feeling. Must be nice to not be.
Oh no, I'm not scared of
heights.
heights. No. I haven't even got a stand hung up yet. That's the problem.
I better do that.
Yeah, I need to get on that.
Yeah, we as we film this, we're almost done with that. We still got some blinds to put out and food plots to plant with soybeans, but other than that, pretty much done.
snowplow for the 4-wheeler.
We got some things to do, keep us busy.
Can't afford a tractor.
That's probably my favorite part about deer hunting is, other than the deer hunting itself, obviously, is the work that goes into it throughout the year, whether it's running cameras and, managing the land and putting up stands. And I've always enjoyed doing that just as much as deer hunting, because it's, deer hunting's a lot different than turkey and duck hunting in the fact that you put in a lot of time and a lot of effort into especially to bigger deer, to really figure out what they're doing. I mean, you do it with turkeys and ducks too, but with deer, you're after one specific thing, whereas ducks and turkeys, you're kind of after a multitude of things. With deer, you're after a certain individual more times than not deer. So, like I said, the other thing about deer hunting I enjoy is, me and Evan were just talking about this earlier, it's kind of like, the way I look at it, when you're in a tree or when you're in a blind, you're kind of in like this bubble in your own little world. And a lot of times, more times than not, we deer hunt by ourselves in our own stand. Special occasions we may film each other or something, but you're like in this own little bubble, and all your thoughts of the world and everything aren't really with you when you're in a stand. You're kind of just to yourself in your own thoughts and enjoying the God's creation, and it's such a peaceful thing for me. And without deer hunting, there would be a long void between seasons. So deer hunting kind of fills that gap for me, or it did a couple years ago. And as I've gotten back into deer hunting a few years ago, it truly reminded me of how blessed we are to deer hunt. It's such a unique thing, and has such a big community, and a good community when you're around the right people. And there are people that ruin it, like with turkey hunting. There's people that ruin turkey hunting, but just being in a deer stand is such a good feeling. It's such a homey, blessed feeling, I guess, the way to describe it.
Yeah, well, deer hunt would be the most, popular type of hunting. 100%. People think of hunting, they think of deer hunting, but also the way that people think of deer hunting, not the way that we think of deer hunting. By no means. And you don't just go out there, throw a pile of corn out and sit and wait. It's a whole lot more than that. People don't see that. It's at the time, the effort, not only hanging up tree stands, planting the food plots, putting the corn out. That's if you can. Putting cameras out. Aging deer. You don't want to be out here. Yeah, the deer might be a good shootable buck if he was older, but you don't want to be shooting a 2-year-old deer with a nice rack.
There's nothing wrong with shooting young deer, small deer. It's just it's your preference. We personally try to shoot deer at 5.5 years old, or if they're just really, if they're 4.5 years old and they're 150 inches.
Oh God, yeah.
It just really depends, and we don't mean to sound like we're just hunting deer for antlers, but when you let a deer grow and you work for it and they get big, killing a big 130-inch deer has so much of a better feeling. Shooting all deer is fun. I'm not saying that.
Well, you can go out there. I'm not saying it's all places, but I know personally I can go out there any time of the year just about and shoot a doe. Yeah. Or any time of the year and shoot a little buck. At any size. But you ain't gonna kill no big mature buck just like that.
No, it takes a lot of effort and work. And a perfect example of that, I don't know. I'm assuming you watch Seek One.
Oh yeah.
Just seeing how even he hunts urban, which is completely drastically different than what we do, but the amount of work that he goes in to find deer, and once he finds the deer, the amount of work he puts into to pattern them and find exactly where they're bedding, where they're living. That way, and then he works hard. And he normally kills them. That's what goes into deer hunting. Like, deer hunting is a mental beast. Like, you have to stay on it. You have to work hard. Same thing with turkey hunting and duck hunting too. It's just, you have to stay on. But you're talking about shooting a doe. I'll tell you firsthand, I don't care if it's a 180-inch buck, which I've never seen before. I hope one day I do. Or if it's a 90-pound doe. It gets me going the same regard. And I know it gets you going the same. Cause I got a video last year from you, during deer season of a little button buck that walked out, and you was shaking like a leaf on a tree.
There's something about being that close to another. How I'll put it this way. I might not sound smart saying this, but it's something about being that close to another heartbeat. Is the way I put it.
Yeah.
Not another human, but there's something under me that has no idea I'm here, and it's like, wow, this
Well, I
how
hope
smart
you ain't
it
that close to another human without them knowing you there. That would be too good.
No.
Deer hunt, it creates so many memories and friendships, and any kind of hunt does.
Oh yeah.
Through duck hunting and everything, we gain friendships. But man, as kids, and it's not as much as we've gotten older because we haven't hunted as much together. We talked about it in one of the Speaking Spring podcast series videos we did about some of the memories that we have deer hunting and how it's led to so many great things. But as younger kids, we weren't really allowed to sit by ourselves. We either had to sit with our dad, our granddad, or our older brothers, or ourselves, or not by ourselves, but with each other. So, as kids, we would sit in a deer stand all the time together, and I don't know why that's the case, but as kids, we thought everything was funny, I guess.
We weren't necessarily kids.
Well,
we weren't
young
teenagers.
teenagers.
We definitely were not driving yet.
Yeah, we were young teenagers, and at that time, everything's funny. Every noise we heard.
This incident would still be hilarious to this day.
Yeah,
if it happened again.
It would be. But as kids, it's just something. It's everything's funny. Like I remember as kids, we would sit together. It don't matter. We're gonna talk about this story in a second, but we could see a deer walk out and we'd start laughing at it. I don't know what it was about it. It could be a big deer.
Start screaming at it.
Well, I
would screaming,
but
like making deer noises.
Yeah,
but not like screaming deer noises.
Like you would trying to stop a deer. But
you just play around with it. Every deer that came out there, and we knew they weren't big, but every deer that came out, we put that scope up, look at the top of that head.
That's a big one.
Big one. Just
little 4 point, little basket rack 4 point. There was one morning. We'll get into that story I was talking about just but I'm thinking about. There was one morning. It was probably mid or late October because it was cold that morning. I remember it was really cold. We were hunting behind Evan's house together, and I'm pretty sure it was middle of October. Like I said, it was probably 40 degrees that morning, which is pretty chilly for October this time around here. But we were sitting there, and there was 2 bucks came out together, which is also kind of weird that time of year. They're normally not in bachelor groups by then because they're almost rutting by that time of year, almost into the rut. But there was 2 bucks walked out. I remember one of them was an older 4 point. You could just tell he was all beat down, wore out. And I remember there was this other deer with him that he walked out. He walked out into a corn pile and then he left. He didn't stay long. I remember I was so mad at Evan because Evan wouldn't look at this deer. I told Evan that deer was big because I was looking at him through my binoculars, and I said, "Evan, that deer's big." You remember what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. And you swore, "Oh, no, that deer ain't big. I ain't even gonna look at it." I swore that deer was big. I swear it was. I still stand by that deer.
4 point.
No, I'm talking about the one that's with him. That one that's with him was at least an 8 point.
I did look, but I'm saying just from I could see where I was sitting at. We went 75 yards, 100 yards.
Yeah, we went far.
Spot. I mean, just looking at it, just in my brain, I thought it was just a little deer.
I swear,
maybe a 6 point is what I was thinking.
I thought that deer was
now
plenty big enough.
Thinking back, I wish I would have looked up at a lot of deer.
Yeah. Well, you looked up at one.
Whatever.
We got 2 looked up at stories. I'm talking about the deer that you looked up at when you shot at him and didn't even finish your shot hardly. The big one. Probably I wouldn't say the biggest deer I've ever seen. I would say it's one of the biggest deer I've ever seen. That was an afternoon hunt, wasn't it?
That was an afternoon.
What time of year do you think?
Ooh.
It was pretty early. It wasn't velvet. It was like middle of like September, October.
This was like early October.
I'd say it was probably about a month-ish before that. Man, probably a couple weeks before that.
It was after. No. This was real early season. Now thinking about it, because it was right after we hunted together.
That's what I'm saying. It was about
the story that we're gonna tell.
It was a couple weeks before the one we just told. When we seen the two, which you called them little bucks. It was a couple weeks before that. We were sitting there. I don't think we'd seen a deer all night. Which is where this is pretty rare for about where we're talking about hunting. We would see probably.
We didn't have I remember, the way I remember it so clearly is because we didn't have hardly a drop of corn out.
No,
And I hadn't put out corn in a while, and I was like, we could try it. I doubt it's corn.
we had hunted back there twice before. One time we're gonna talk about a story, and then the next time we had a big freaking doe come in behind us, probably 150-pound doe. I mean, just a big old doe. And I about said it just then. But we didn't see anything that entire night, which, like I said, is rare. We normally see 10 or 15 deer. You know, most of them does. But we were sitting there, and deer walked out. As soon as he walked out, we could just tell. You know, that's a big deer.
I seen the body.
Yeah, and we looked up at the deer. He had his head down, and we were both looking at him. I was looking through binoculars, Evan through the scope. And I remember this deer picking his head up and looking the opposite way and just seeing his rat coming out from behind his ears. I don't know how Evan didn't faint right then and there, because it was a big one. I think we think, well, this could be wrong, we think he was a 9-point. Lord,
I have to believe,
this was 4 years ago.
and you may disagree, but I have to believe, because Daddy killed, you know, the big buck, he's got a real wide, real thick at the bottom. I think because it was the next year he killed that deer. I think that was him the year before.
Probably.
Because that deer that he's killed on the wall
that deer was probably 6 or 7
He was 7. They
Yeah.
said he was 7 years old.
This buck was impressive. He was a 9-point, which, you know what that tells me? If that deer was 7, he was probably bigger the year before, the year that you shot at. But yeah, long story short, what happened?
I bluffed it, but I straight up put the bullet in the ground.
You shot.
I put it to you like this. I did it so many times until where I learned a lot more about hunting, where I just throw the scope up and see a body. Like, didn't care where I put the thing at, just seeing the body. Or I just look at the horns and just go, boom.
That ain't good.
And I had a problem with jerking the trigger instead of, easing it, which is seriously needed.
Well, and then we made a huge mistake. If the deer was gut shot or liver or back anywhere other than lungs or heart, which is we made a huge mistake doing this.
I'll put it to you like this.
We didn't know what we were doing.
I can remember this as real well. As soon as I shot, I didn't even look up anymore. I just, wherever the gun fell, we jumped.
That's what I was about to say.
Almost jumped over the banister of the stand, because this is a low stand, really low to the ground.
Probably 8 foot.
Yeah, it's a tripod stand, but it's real low to the ground. And we jumped and ran to the corn pile.
That's what I was telling you. That was stupid.
Ran straight to it.
You know, now knowing what we know, if a deer's hit like that, that's the last thing you want to do. You just push them. But like I said, we were kids. We didn't really know what we were doing. But if that deer was gut shot or liver shot, if he was hit, which we know for a fact he was not hit. But if he was hitting the liver or guts, or any farther back than that, that deer would have died when they were found it, because we'd have pushed him even farther. So.
What we do? We came back to the house, waited about an hour.
Well, we looked for blood while we were down there.
Yeah, we came back, got a 4-wheeler, went back.
Well, what I'm saying,
all around in there.
We first went down there, me and you ran down there, we looked for blood and immediately said, uh-oh, this ain't good. Because normally you see blood pretty quick. Especially that close with a 270, you'd see a blowout, and there was nothing anywhere. We immediately kind of got concerned, and like I said, like Evan said, we came back here and sat around for an hour or two and went back and looked for blood, kind of walked in the woods a little ways, still wasn't seeing nothing. We went both directions. We knew which direction he ran, but we went both directions just to make sure. Even got a dog out there, and nothing. No guts, no yellow discharge, no blood, no hair, no nothing. That was one of those moments that sticks with you for a long time. It just hurts.
Well, that's definitely not the most hurtful story I have. That's definitely not.
What, did your daddy taking a gun from me?
Okay.
We talked about that story already, didn't we?
I think so. No, we didn't finish. We just brought it up, but that's still not the most hurtful.
Well, tell that one, because that's a good story.
Let me tell the one I'm thinking of right now. Behind.
I don't know. Have I heard this one?
Oh yeah, you've heard this one. So, this is the same year I shot my first deer. I couldn't have been in more than 10 years. No, I was 9 when I shot my first deer. And but it's about the same year, and I always went with my uncle on this plantation. And but it's a beautiful place. You look at the corn pile, and you will not see corn.
They saw it during turkey season. If you watched the first episode of turkey season, we're on that planted, all with those plantation pines and everything. That's the plantation he's talking about.
Yeah, well, also the amount of deer that's out here is crazy. It definitely needs a lot of management, but either way, my uncle was after this one particular buck, and we knew there was another one that was like him, but we thought it was smaller. And we was sitting out there probably, I don't know, we got there probably about 5:30ish, 6 o'clock, somewhere up in there. We got to stand really late. I do remember that. And we were sitting there and we were just talking. And we probably had 20, 30 does out there because this place was crazy packed with deer. Had a few nice bucks come in. And we're sitting there talking, and he looks up and he goes, "This one I'm going to need to shoot." He said, "This is him." He looked up and it wasn't him. This deer, 100% was not him because it was way bigger. And so I pulled the gun. I was like, "No, man, I want to shoot it. I want to shoot it. I want to shoot it." And what I did was I didn't even aim at the deer. Like, literally didn't aim it. I'd seen the deer in the scope. Before I even pulled the trigger,
You got a problem.
Before I even had the trigger pulled, I already had to go back up look for the deer. I'm putting it to you like that.
Dang.
He went there. He said, "Dude, you didn't hit it. I seen the dust 30 feet behind it. You didn't hit it. You didn't hit it."
30 feet? That's 10 yards high.
Yeah.
Dang.
And I was like, "Whatever, dude." I went back to the place, you know. I was all teared up, sad, but I was like, "Whatever." Well,
Did you just, what did you say? You was crying?
oh yeah, I was 100% crying, dude. We looked at trail cam pictures. We looked at this deer and we thought this deer was a monster, which we knew it was a monster. It was like whatever. So the next year comes around, dude, and I had my mind set on this deer. And that's all I thought about. I couldn't go to sleep that night. Put it to you like that. That's all I thought about. And we got trail cameras out and everything. Carter sent me a picture of him. And he was like, "Dude, he's back." And this deer now, crazy. I mean, like, giant deer for South Carolina. Huge. And I was like, whatever, you know. I mean, I'm going to chase him this year 100%, but I don't know if it's going to happen. It got right around deer season. It had to be about July. No, this deer was full horn. Hard horn, actually. This had to be, honestly, about the end of August, beginning of September. Just got rid of his velvet. And I got a picture sent to me. And it was a picture of a set of horns and a dead deer. And apparently, one of my uncle's buddies ran over the deer, and the deer ended up being 33 inches inside 33 inches.
All right, 30.
I swear,
There
we can
ain't
call him
no-
right now.
There ain't no way. No, it's fine. It's
We
fine.
can call him right now. This deer was 33. Is he 32 or 33 inches inside?
You mean 23?
Yeah, 23. 23. I meant 23.
I was about to say 33. That's
Yeah,
gotta
I'm
be some
sorry.
kind
30,
of record.
23.
That's still a monster, though.
23 inches inside the rack.
spread, yeah.
And he measured, I think it was like 4 or 5 inches, like beams were that thick. He had a straight thick beam. It wasn't like, go skinny, it was straight thick. He had a growing drop time. Like, it wasn't a drop time yet.
But it was starting.
It was starting. You
Like
could
maybe
see it.
in the next, or maybe
Honestly, he might
one.
have grew it out.
Or either that or he had one at some point. Yeah, that's.
I cried hard when
I ain't never heard that story.
I thought you've heard this story.
Right. No, I hadn't heard that story. Yeah, I mean, I'd have been a little upset about that one too.
I guess now I tell the story.
Yeah, with your daddy taking the gun. I have seen this deer. Isn't that the
deer
one
over
with the thick horns? No, that's the one with the real wide one. Looks like, I tell you all the time, it's like a Texas deer. He's really wide and got short
This
brows.
is the one I think I missed. That's the one I think I missed.
No, I'm talking about the one he took the gun from you.
That's the one beside it.
I'm talking about the real wide deer with the short brows.
Really thinking about them?
If you're walking to the man
All right,
cave,
say you're walking, as soon as you walk in, is it the last deer or the deer
on the
before
far
the last
right,
deer?
the one on the far right.
Last?
Yeah.
That's the deer I think I missed.
All right, it's the one on.
The one right beside it.
All right, that's the
This
one.
that deer was 20 inside.
I've seen this deer.
So
This deer's a
let
wide.
me tell you this.
wide
This was
buck.
not the biggest deer out there that night. We counted 13 bucks that were shootable. 13 bucks that were shootable. And this is when we were hunting this property that's right beside my property that we got leased to us. And we were sitting there, dude. And I still had not shot a good mature buck. Like, not even seen one besides the one I missed at Curtis's. And one came out, he said, "All right, that's the one." Another came out, he said, "Well, that one's even bigger." Then another one came out, and another one came out, and they just kept coming out. And dude, it was so crazy because when he came out, both our eyes lit up. We looked at each other, and we was both shaking, like shaking hard. And then I wouldn't say even bigger buck, but he had way more mass than this buck and was more tall. But this buck was way wider, and he was a lot cooler than the other one. And I got my gun up and was about to shoot, but he seen how hard I was shaking. I guess he thought I was going to miss or whatever. And he's like, no, let me look at him. Let me look at him. I was like, all right, let me know when I need to shoot and all that. And as soon as he looked through the scope, man, I seen where his finger went. Boom, and he dropped the deer.
He took a turkey from you, too.
He took a
double bearded
turkey out from me. But I wasn't mad, though. I ain't going to lie to you. Now thinking about it, I'm mad. But when it first happened, I was mad. 'Cause just holding my hands on that, even though I didn't kill it, on that big of a deer.
Did you drop him?
He actually knocked him down, like completely knocked him down. Hit him right in the shoulder.
And ran off.
And the deer laid there for about, I don't know, 30, 40 seconds. He jumped up and he ran. That deer ran 200 yards.
That's a good story for me to tell after this one.
That deer ran, which one, was the doe in the last year?
No, the date one I shot and it got away.
Either way, we had to get called, my same uncle I was talking about, to bring his dog out there because we didn't have the dog I have at this time. And we looked, couldn't find it. So my uncle went home. It was probably 12 o'clock at night. And we were looking, and all of a sudden I heard something screaming through the woods, and he had found that deer. And he attempted to drag it to me, but the deer ended up weighing a little over 200 pounds. We couldn't pick it up. Like, there was no picking it up. We had to drag it back to the house with the four-wheeler.
See, and this is, like he was just talking about with knocking one down, this is a good story to tell for all my 6.5 Creedmoor users out there. There is one caliber that I refuse to ever shoot at a whitetail deer again, and that is a 6.5 Creedmoor. You hand me a 243, a 30-06, a 30-30, a 300 Win Mag, I don't care, but do not ever hand me a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Can I ask one question too?
What?
Why'd you name every single caliber that had a 3 in it? You didn't name any on the calibers, but a caliber that had
Most
3
of them do.
I mean, a lot of them do.
What's the only one don't? 270?
270.
7 millimeter.
7 millimeter 08.
7 mag. That's a 7 millimeter.
22 mag. People shoot that.
Well, my thing is, you know, I was the first time I ever hunted this place before, and I was sitting there and it was like literally it was opening day of deer season. It was opening day of deer season, and it was extraordinarily hot, so we weren't really expecting deer to move great. I was looking over this food plot down a power line in a little box blind, and there was a doe on the left side of this food plot, right at dark. It was almost dark to the point where you couldn't see anymore, and it was kind of getting iffy. And this doe walked into the woods, or she started to go into the woods, and when she did, 2 more deer came out, and they were both big 8 points. I picked the biggest one, and I shot, and I thought I made a really good shot on him. He fell like instantly, like he dropped and wasn't moving, like wasn't flopping, wasn't kicking, nothing. He was just sitting there. And I got up and called somebody to come help me with him or whatever. 'Cause I thought he was dead. And when I looked back up off my phone, he was gone. And we walked down there and we looked, and nothing. Well, I say nothing. We found blood. We found a couple of drops of blood where the deer had laid, and we looked and looked and looked and looked and nothing. And, we got pictures of the deer not too many days later, still in daylight, believe it or not, and hit him right in the shoulder with a 6.5 Creedmoor, and it didn't kill him. I don't know if it was the bullet not expanding and it just went right through him. I to this day I don't know. All I know is that completely lost my trust for the 6.5 Creedmoor, and since then I have not shot it again, and I never plan to. People often ask, I see people debating all the time about what's the best deer hunting rifle, and I have to often tell people anybody but a 6.5 Creedmoor. Now they're deadly accurate at far range, and I mean deadly accurate, but I have a bad luck with it, and when something like that happens to you with a big deer like that, you don't take the chance again. And since then, I've shot a 308, and with that 308, I've lost one deer. And I've missed one deer, and I probably killed 15. So I'd take that. And the one I lost was just a bad shot. Didn't bleed. Hit it far back, and we looked hard for it, but never was able to find it. And it's part of it. It's part of the hunting, but the 6.5, like I said, it just ain't gonna be something I'll ever use. I know people that use them. I have good friends that kill good deer every year with them. That's just for me. And even if it was a 243 or it was a 270 and it did that, I probably wouldn't have shot it anymore. It just kind of messed me up. So I don't know. That's why I kind of feel like we talk about it in Speaking Spring podcast. Once you find certain things you like to use, you will use that for the rest of your life. And whether it's clothing or guns or bullets, we're gonna make a video sighting our guns in and shooting some different bullets and stuff. But the one bullet I refuse to shoot is a Remington Core-Lokt. They are awful. They are terrible bullets.
You talking about it's got a little metal tip? It's like weird.
They all have metal.
I used to shoot a Remington.
Yeah, I mean it's a
what's the bullet?
XP. Those are good bullets.
Winchester.
Winchester. Like yeah, those are good bullets. But these Remington Core-Lokts.
I like the Remington Core-Lokts. What they shoot?
I'm telling you don't.
Wow.
See, we're about to get into a debate here.
No, I'm not getting a debate because I really don't know. I've never shot a deer with them.
I'm telling you, they don't shoot right. They spray awful.
What do you mean spray?
Their groupings are terrible. Like they're inconsistent. They do not shoot good groups.
Oh, I didn't know what you like.
No, they don't shoot. They're not good bullets. I'd shoot anything like people. If somebody asked me,
I'll put it to you like
if
this.
somebody asked me what kind of gun you want to shoot, I'll say anything but a 6.5. And they say what kind of bullets you gonna shoot, I'd say anything but a Remington Core-Lokt.
Anything but a Remington Core-Lokt.
Yeah, I mean, Hornady SST.
It's the worst bullets out there.
Okay, yeah. Why? Because that's what I shoot.
Yeah.
They ain't done.
In my opinion, 308 is not the best.
See, I knew you.
A
308 is by far the best
How? Explain to me why you think the 308
A 308 shoots flat.
Okay.
Which means it doesn't drop much.
For how far?
I don't shoot past 300 yards.
Okay.
Unless I
and 270 maybe drops. Maybe drops.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Centimeter.
What has a bigger differentiation between bullet grain?
You want to know which one's more accurate? Don't.
308 is.
You're seriously gonna sit here and tell me that?
It depends on who's shooting. I know you ain't accurate. I know I'm not the most accurate.
You missed more deer than me. Let's go and start with that. Or made more bad shots.
That's true.
You've shot more deer than me.
That's true. Yeah.
You've definitely shot more deer than me.
Look, here's the deal. Here's the deal.
No, listen.
Here's the deal.
The best hunting around, honestly, deer hunting around all around, if you want to kill a deer, is a 300 Win Mag.
I mean, my God, yeah.
You might say, oh, it's overkill. No, how? It's not overkill. It shoots farther. It shoots way flatter.
It's not better than a 30-06, a 270, or 308.
Yes, it is.
Even a 7mm 08.
7mm is better than a 308.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's not. It's
way more knockdown power. Way bigger.
7mm 08.
I mean 7mm. 7mm.
7 mag.
Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah.
Whichever one.
Look.
7.
Look.
Is way better.
270 goes from what? 100 30 grain
You
to
know what?
150 grain.
I don't
A
argue.
308 can go all the way from 130 to 180 grain. You can shoot all
Wait, what did you
kinds,
say? 270
like 130 to 170. Okay.
270 is 170.
I mean, my God. I don't know. Regardless, I shoot a 308. We can both agree that we will not shoot 6.5 3-pointers, there, right? They're not.
There's a one gun. There's one.
They do
gun.
not open them up.
There's one person on it. So it would be my mom's dad. I don't really talk to him.
They just don't open them
He
up.
has one that's built for sniping, like.
Well, I said that
And
when I was talking about.
it shoots twice as far as any bullet.
I said that they are extremely accurate, but it's no different than a 223 bullet.
I will admit, he has shot multiple nice deer. And have not
I
found
said
them.
that. I know people that have shot deer with them.
But I'm not gonna say it till I want to shoot them.
My thing is a 6.5 and a 223 are similar in that aspect. They are deadly accurate.
I would never shoot a 6.5 at a mature buck.
They are deadly accurate. They are so accurate, it's ridiculous. They fly so good, but they do not open them up. A 243.
Don't take this wrong. 6.5s are meant for humans, and I'm not saying they're meant for.
Well,
like,
actually, they're meant for predator hunting. I'm pretty sure, but
well, they're built them for what, like going over and sniping.
you know what they do use overseas more than any other gun when it comes to sniping?
What's that?
A 308
Nope.
and an AR-10 platform,
There you go.
which is a 308.
But
They
No,
never
not-
use 270.
no, because it's a deer hunting round.
It don't matter.
But I bet
They're shooting at thousands of yards.
Okay, no, because they definitely use 300 Win Mag. Don't tell me they don't, because I know they did.
Not. It depends.
They use 50 BNG.
For carrying around snipers all
Yes.
day.
Not carrying around. Those guys use 6.5s. That's what they usually use.
Do you understand how bad a 50 BMG drops off at 1,000 yards? That bullet weighs so much it's not going to go
You know
anywhere.
what, the guy that shot what was that mile long shot?
That was not a 50 caliber.
Do you know what it was?
I don't know.
22 Magnum.
No, it wasn't. Regardless.
All
see,
right, let me get back to my argument. Not my argument, my state. This is I'll rank rifle rounds for you. And I'm not a big fan of the 308, not because
because I shoot it. You've never shot a 308 at a deer.
yes, I have.
You've not.
I swear on my whole entire life I've killed a deer with a 308. But I still like my 270 better. I have reasons. I like my 270 better because it's my gun.
We're
and
not
I'm
going to
used
rank
to it.
because we got to hurry.
No, let me get a little rank. I'm just
Oh
gonna give my top 3 real quick. The number 1, obviously 270. Number 2, 308. Number 3, I gotta give it a 243 just because it's the best for it. Say you got a kid, and then
Oh yeah, the only thing on a 243 is they're accurate.
I
The
shot
only
my
thing
first
is they
deer with a
tend to not
243.
open good either. Now they'll
Yeah.
kill a deer. I've seen hundreds of deer.
Better than 6.5.
I've killed deer.
Better than 6.
Yeah, for sure. For me, it'd be 308, 270.
But if you really want to kill deer, the best thing to go with, I think they call them rocket launchers or grenade launchers.
That's illegal. Make sure you check your state regulations before purchasing weapons. But
Yeah.
real quick, we're going to talk about a story that we were talking about earlier. And we're going to talk about our first deer, both of our first deer, and then we're going to call it. But the story we're talking about, it may not be funny to you, but you had to have been there. It's one of those stories where you had to be there and had to experience it. We were sitting there. We hadn't been in the stand 5-10 minutes, and it was hot. I mean, it was open day.
And we were messing. When I tell you, at this time of the year, we never took anything serious in that stand. We never we were sitting there talking like this right here, like just regular.
It was
talking.
hot and
We
it was
were
miserable.
cutting up, throwing our phones up in there, taking pictures. Like
No burlap or no cover at all. On the
no
stand.
cover whatsoever. We have metal bars around us. And I want you to finish this part off, and I'll get to my part.
We were sitting there and like I said, we were goofing off, and I was looking forwards, and I got the infamous tap on the leg, which means, hey, probably a deer out here. So when he tapped me on my leg, I was like, what? And he said, there's a deer right here.
Let me tell this part.
Hang on. And I was like, where? Because I thought you were looking where I was
Well,
looking.
let me tell you how I knew there was a
Well,
deer.
hang on. I didn't want to move, because I was focused so far, looking in front of me, and I didn't want to move. I didn't know where the deer was at, and I remember you saying, "There's a deer right there," and I was like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" And then that's when this is what the funny part.
How it started off was I was just sitting on my phone, and I kept hearing something like it was like a smacking, chewing noise. I'm thinking it was like a knowing little kid sitting beside you. That slow smack, and then that grass. I don't know if you've ever listened to a goat eat grass, but it's that little pull. That little pull, and it snaps. I heard that. As soon as I did that, I looked my head over.
To your left.
And I'm telling you, when I'm saying there's no possible way in this world I couldn't have touched this deer. Like, what was it, probably a yearling?
Oh, yeah, it's a yearling. It was probably 5 yards. 5 yards from it.
I could have touched this deer, like, poked my gun, and poked it right in the head with my gun. And I seen it. I took my foot, and I eased it on the end of the stand. I took my foot, and I eased it on the end of the stand. And I, like, rolled the seat around.
Well, because this is when I had said, "What are you talking about? Where's there a deer?" And Evan said, "Right here." And when he said right here, this was in one of those tripod stands where the seats swivel.
Yeah.
And it's a double seater. So we were sitting right beside each other in 2 different seats. When he said right here, he took his foot and pushed his seat. And this seat was so old, and he turned it, and it started turning. And as it did, it went. It made this awful squeaking noise. And next thing I know, I'll go from looking straight in front of me and seeing not a deer to being turned all the way to the left and staring at a deer at 5 yards. And this deer, when I tell you we were laughing and giggling at like 2 little schoolgirls, this deer,
just looking at us.
His deer's looking at him 5 yards from him. Like he had no clue in the world we were there. But
I was crying my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, we were laughing so hard. And we even, at this point, we even turned back around and the deer stood there. The deer had no clue.
It was like, what do you do when you turn around, those noises happen, and you're right here to deer, and you're standing there, and you're like looking at each other, and the deer's just looking at you, just smacking.
And next thing you know, I'm looking straight ahead, and next thing I know, the seat starts turning, and I slowly start seeing this deer come into my peripheral vision. Next thing I know, there's a deer looking at me at 5 yards. We both about fell out of the deer stand. And we ended up seeing more deer that day.
Oh,
we seen that deer so early.
Seen that giant.
Was that when we seen the giant doe?
Behind us. That was behind us. Did you go shoot? Wicks? I think I'm gonna change it up a little bit this year, but every year that I've hunted, I will not shoot a doe until after rut.
So that's where we differ. I try to shoot them before the rut that way, because post rut is always better than pre rut to me.
Well, I don't have. Well, now I do. Then I didn't, but now I got so many does it really don't matter. But then my whole theory was, I don't want to kill my does and my big bucks want to breed. But now there's so many does, dude.
The more does you have, the less opportunity you have to see them, because they have so many does to breed. The chance of that doe coming in that's hot is very slim.
Unless people randomly start hunting like crazy. But if you hunt the average you hunt, and you kill a doe every time you hunt, you're not gonna hurt the doe population whatsoever.
I mean, we get 4 tags a year. You can buy more. I try to kill at least 6 or 7, depending on where I'm at. It depends on the property. But also, South Carolina does a quota program where they come out and they give you a certain amount of tags you have to fill every year to help slim. Because it from what I've read, according to the NDA, the National Deer Association, all that, you want 1 doe to 1 buck ratio. And most properties, from what I've understood, have more like a 1 to 15, which is insanely bad. And like you said, if you slim down the does, that gives more food for the bucks, which also increases the likelihood of seeing the buck. They have less does to breed. They're still going to make plenty of deer. But if you've got 27 hot does and 3 bucks look in the chase, your chances of seeing those deer are not high. But if you've got 5 hot does and 3 bucks, one of those deer are going to come in front of you at some point. That's kind of the reason. And you always want more bucks than you do does. But it's kind of the opposite with turkeys. We're kind of in we need more hen turkeys. But anyways, we're going to kind of talk about our first deer hunt, and then we're going to call it. So,
what you do first?
My first deer I killed when I was, I would have been 9, 2004. Yeah, I'd have been 9 years old. I've been hunting probably 2 years before that, 2 or 3 years before that, and I had missed way more times than I care to talk about. like I'd missed so many times. There was even a couple deer. I would always hunt with my granddad, and he would always pick at me about this one story. There was a little, it wasn't a little doe, but it was about an 80-pound doe. Walked out, and I shot and missed her, and she stomped at us like she was mad, and she tried to back off into the woods. About 5 minutes later, she came out again. You know what I did?
Shot out again.
I missed her again. You know what she did? She ran back in the woods. You know what she did again? She come out again. I missed her again. I missed that deer 3 times. 3 times. So he brought that up every time he got a chance. Anytime I shooted a deer, my granddaddy, I could probably not even pull the trigger. He had become so used to me missing. I'd be like, I hit him, because I'd be so excited. I hit him. Nah, you missed him. I'd always pick at him later on in life. As I've got older, I'd say, Papa, when I was younger and I'd shoot a deer, I didn't even pull the trigger and you tell me I missed the deer. Every time, you missed him. So, this deer, we were sitting in a stand, or actually it was a box blind on the ground, looking down a road with a corn pile. Dog fed on to our right, good bed and all that stuff. I can vividly remember this spot. And a doe walked out about 120, 130 yards out there. And she walked across the road, or kind of fed at the corn pile for a minute and walked across the road. And I remember I told my papa, I said, Papa, there's a deer right there. He said, where? I said, Papa's right there. Where? Papa, it's right. I kept saying it's right there. Well, by that time, the deer he shooted and walked off. Well, she came back out again. About 5 minutes later, I said, Papa, there's a deer right there. Where? Papa, it's right there on the corn pile. He couldn't see the deer. Finally, she came out a third time, and he finally saw the deer. I don't know why he had to see the deer. But when she came out the third time, he finally saw her, got my gun up, and shot her. Clean dropped her with 243. But as we talked about, when I shot this deer, she immediately folded. And I looked down, looked up, she gone. She ran about 15 yards and wasn't dying. Or she probably just kicked her way into the woods. But it was about a 95, 100-pound doe. First deer I'd ever killed. I remember putting blood on my face. No, I don't really remember much after that. What was your first deer story, Killer?
First deer story.
What are the six
funny one?
6 one.
Well, I said I'd kill my first deer with a 243. Kill my second deer with a 243. My first deer with a 270. And this 270, it's my dream gun by far. Cause like it's back on those plantations where I killed my first deer, and the people that own the plantation are, highly wealthy. They have really nice guns. So and when I go out there, I wouldn't use my gun. I use their nice guns, and we went out one day, and the goal was to shoot anything that moved, just about, if it was shootable. I was looking for either a nice buck or a big doe. And it's about towards the end of the season. I'm with my uncle again, and he pointed one out as the biggest doe, which is probably why we thought it was the biggest doe, because it was not a doe at all. And I shot it. And man, we sat there and talked about it. Yeah, you missed that deer. Yeah, you missed that deer. I was like, yeah, I probably missed him. Let's sit and wait. Well, you get towards the end of the season, you ain't killed many deer, you want to fill your freezer up. So he's like, well, I'm going to shoot me one. He shot a doe, dropped it. We got his doe, really nice doe, got it in the side by side loaded up. And we seen the blood trail from my deer. It was like, oh, dang, I made a good shot. And we went to go find it. When I got to the deer, it was probably maybe 30 yards in the woods. The deer had one horn. Because, it's towards the end of the season because they're dropping horns. He dropped one, and it was a spike.
Probably broke it all. They ain't dropped horns.
No, it was perfectly. I'm telling you, the way I know this deer dropped his horns early, I'll finish the story. It was one horn deer. We called it the unicorn. And I ended up making a knife out of this deer. It's horn. But we got it loaded up as well. We all went back to the house, talked about it. And I went to pull the deer off of the truck at the trailer processor and popped the other horn off. Popped it straight off. So, that was my first deer. Old unicorn.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for the first episode of Feathers in Fall. So, hopefully y'all enjoyed. We got plenty more to tell. We just scratched the surface on deer hunt stories. And believe me, we could sit here for 4 days and talk about duck hunt stories and not run out.
Yeah.
So,
we got some funny.
Yeah, we do. So, hopefully y'all enjoyed, and hopefully we'll have another one out in a week or two. So, we'll catch y'all on the next one.